is what we call the new student intake process. So today we'll be sharing a bunch of resources that these different departments provide when the student is first applying to WVC, and what other resources they can they can work with while they're completing the admissions process to the college. And so we're going to start off with Maggie Segesser in admissions and registration. So we'll hand it over to her.
Thank you. I almost said good morning, everyone. So hey, good afternoon. Let me see if I can share my screen real quick. Hold on here. And where are you? I feel like it's been a minute since we've done this. Is it there? Are we good? I can't see you guys, so if anybody wants to say yay, you can see. Okay,
Don't see
perfect.
your screen quite yet.
You don't? Interesting. I'm sharing. Well, I have a spinning blue. You just see me and my family, right?
We just see you like nothing at all right now. We haven't
Really?
started.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's saying that I have.
It might be sharing a different screen. Maybe if you stop sharing and then gives you the option to pick another screen to share, maybe.
Sure, we'll try that. Sorry about that. Oh, let's try again. How about?
Yep, now we see your family.
Okay, so now we see my presentation.
I believe so, yes.
It's okay, awesome. I try to do in one of the slides, I did a little quick recording video. So if you can't hear me, if you could let me know once you start to see the page start clicking. So I'm going to be talking about some admissions and registration. So basically the first step. So again, as Levy said, my name is Maggie Segesser and I work in our admissions and registration office. We are actually located in Wenatchee Hall on the first floor, but you can definitely reach us via email and phone as well. And I'll have that information at the end. To get started, the first step we always say is for a student to apply for admissions. I know some other sessions after me are going to elaborate a little bit more on the additional steps that we say, but this is going to be a quick version of how to get started for a new student, transfer student, even returning students. We do have some new student enrollment deadlines for each quarter. This deadline includes application submission, placement, and enrollment of classes. And I'll show you those deadlines here shortly. But a student can apply online, or they can submit a paper admissions form to our office. The system's still a little new to us, but applicants who apply online will actually receive 2 emails. They're going to receive a confirmation email first from the admissions office with their actual application number. Once we actually process the application itself, the applicant will get a second acceptance email, second email, which is more or less their acceptance email with their CTC link or student ID number with our next steps. Any students who are planning to enroll in classes for 6 credits or more must submit the application, take any necessary placement, orientation, and enroll in classes by these deadlines. I'm already looking at the future. So fall, this upcoming September, fall quarter 2023 will be September 11th. Then of course we have winter 2024, that deadline will be December 18th. Spring would be March 19th, and then summer would be June 10th. If you do have prospective students who are interested in this upcoming spring quarter, that deadline will be March 20th. With our summer quarter, that deadline is June 12th. If I go too fast, I apologize. I'm trying to be mindful of the time as well. So, as I stated, any new student who wants to register for 6 or more credits must go through this mandatory intake advising process, which will be discussed here in the next session. If we fail to meet those deadlines, the student has to wait until the next quarter, regardless of when they submitted the application. We can definitely roll it over quarter to quarter. So this is my little video I made so you can kind of see what the website looks like. So like I said, hopefully there's sound.
Maggie, the sound isn't coming through. When you share your screen,
Okay.
there's under the view options area, there's a way you can share your computer sound, but it's not coming through right now.
Share sound. How's that? Thanks, Rachel. Let's try again.
3 buttons. If you click on the start button,
Yay, nay?
you can see it breaks down a little
Okay,
more.
thanks.
Yay.
Categories
Thank
a student
you.
could be. They could be a new student, a transferring student, a returning student, running start, or they might be just interested in doing community education, and so forth. Most likely they're a new student. If you click on this button, you'll see the 5 steps kind of broken down a little more. When you click for apply for admissions, it takes you to the apply for admissions homepage, where it will give you the 3 options that a student can apply, whether it's online, in person, or filling out our printable PDF, fillable PDF admissions form to submit to us. I recommend applying online. It's just easier for getting the account created in the system. So when they apply online, it's going to have them go to another link where they just click on the online admissions portal. This actually takes them to the state community and technical college page, where one would just need to create a username and password to create the account. Unless they already have an existing account, then they would log in with those credentials. If you create an account, you just have to create a username, password, which you want to remember, of course, because it's specific to this application.
And then, of course, I forgot the part to say the name, middle name, and submit. And then once I'll have you can see what it looks like. So if your students have questions, they're going to get to this page where they actually need to kind of choose what they're wanting to do. It's a little bit different because this is standard across the state. We can't be too WVC specific. So students can choose whether they're enrolling as a first year student, international, reapplying running start, or transfer student. We have these current program goals as well. You might have students who are interested in transitional studies courses prior to taking some academics. Just so you know that if that is selected, unfortunately, we don't have that turned on yet at Wenatchee Valley. We hopefully soon, but that option's not there. So they would just work with our transitional studies department. So this is another little video, hopefully, to kind of see more of the inside of what the application looks like.
So once you have created your account and you're about to start a new application, you would pick, of course, Wenatchee, and then it will be asking, I'll be enrolling as first year international reapplying running start transfer, and these were the identifiers below of what the criteria is. So I'm going to say I'm a first year student. Then it's going to ask for the program, which were these here. As I mentioned, transitional studies, if a student does pick that, they're not going to be able to select a term. We don't have that option available at this time. So if the student's doing academic, they would select then which term. We still have winter. We're past winter, so we're looking more at spring or future. And then here are all of our academic programs that we currently list or offer. If you were to choose professional technical, again, your term, you're going to see all the different professional technical degrees that we currently offer. I'm going to say I'm going to do accounting. No, this is not a required field, so it's blank. Then you can click apply. And this is when the student would start filling out the personal information. Everything that has the asterisk is a required field. As they go along throughout the application, they will see the little fields get kind of filled in, whether they've started it, if it's completed. As you go along, a lot of them will have this almost full pie, and that's fine because all the required fields are filled out. If you have the X, then you know something is not filled out. You just keep moving along. As you can see already, I made a mistake somewhere, so I'll go back. What did I miss? My citizenship information. Okay. Oh, and then of course my address. I'm just going to use the school's address, of course, as this sample. Ooh. Same, the high school is required. You're not gonna, I mean, you could put something close. It's gonna look through all the states. I think the easiest way is if, you know, they're in state, we can say, ooh, we'll just do this. Well, let's say I attended school in Wenatchee. There. And it auto-populates. I can kind of guess the dates if they have college information, and just, again, it's not going to let me finish, but I'm sorry, it did let me finish or move on. It's just not going to let me submit it. So then you can see this piece. These questions come up here. Required items are by asterisk. Next, the residency for tuition paying purposes. And again, it's all required. Additional supplemental questions required, ones by the asterisk. And right, it's not going to let me submit, of course, because it's not required, but once everything is good, they can say, yes, I accept. Or if they made a mistake, they can fill out the mandatory fields. So oops, let me go back, sorry. So once a person has applied, kind of like what the next steps are, as indicated, we'll send an acceptance email with their student ID number. This ID number is required to access any online service here at Wenatchee. It's going to be used to access their personal information, so they should keep it safe. It's their own created password as well. The account needs to be activated before they enroll and do the next steps. I know other sessions are going to talk about the funding, financial aid, placement, and ed planning, advising, and registration, along with paying for classes. So that is admissions and registration in a quick nutshell. Here is our office and contact information. Definitely, anybody have any questions for right now in that super quick overview?
And if you do come up with any questions afterwards, feel free to drop them in the chat and we can save them for the Q&A at the bottom, or we can just answer them as we go. Thank you so much, Maggie. I really liked the pre-recorded video. I myself have never actually walked through applying online. I only see like everything after that, right? So I'm going to introduce the next person. It's Patty Zavala. She's a college navigator, and she's going to be presenting on behalf of the Educational Planning Department.
So my phone doesn't have a silencing button, so I'm letting it ring. So give me just 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. So can you guys hear me okay? Can you hear me?
Yes.
we can.
Okay. So good afternoon. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, so I'm going to briefly go over the new student enrollment process. There is a lot of steps. However, I don't want students to get too overwhelmed just because it sounds like a lot. So I'm Patty. I go by Patty, and I work as a college navigator here at WVC with the Educational Planning Department. So a little bit over placement. So after you've applied for admissions and received your acceptance letter, and you've applied for financial aid is optional, but those two things before placement are going to be pretty important. So after that, we do want to determine your English and math placement. So usually what students are suggested to do is for them to complete a pre-placement questionnaire. So what the pre-placement questionnaire does, it's not a test, but it does help us determine whether or not you already have those English and math placements already established. Usually for new students, it's going to be their high school transcript. So if you are a recent high school graduate or within the last 3 years, we usually try to use your high school transcript, or at least assess that first before we move forward. If we cannot use your high school transcript, then we will go ahead and provide you with a math assessment and a direct self-placement, which both are free and they can both be done online. So after your placement is completed, placement staff will reach out to the students via email. So that's usually the main point of contact or communication between placement staff and students. So it's really important for students to be checking their email pretty constantly. And if, for whatever reason you want to update that, it will be a good idea for you guys to contact us to make that change. So after placement is completed, the placement staff is going to sign up students for what we call an online advising and registration tutorial, which we also refer to it as an OAR tutorial. So basically what this is, it's a series of modules that go through different important information for new students. So it's going to review degree requirements, how to enroll in classes, where to go for what. And most importantly, it's going to show you how to navigate through the CTC link system, which is really important. But then also it does have a student calendar, so we update that pretty frequently. So that's a good reference for students to go if they forgot about a deadline or so on and so forth. So after you've reviewed and gone through the modules, it will have a 10-question quiz that reviews the material that you just went through. So after that, you do have to receive an 80% or better before you can enroll in classes. So what new students have on their account is a new student intake hold. So if you complete that, once you complete that OAR, then the hold will be removed. You do have 3 tries. And even if the student doesn't receive an 80% or better after the 3 tries, it's okay. You're just gonna have to come talk to us. And honestly, I enjoy that. So after that, you will, at the very end, actually, there's going to be a link where you can go ahead and schedule an appointment with either myself or one of my colleagues. And then you can meet with us either via Zoom, over the phone, or in person, and we'll sit down discuss your career goals, and then kind of get you started, at least for the first quarter. And then after that, you will be assigned a faculty advisor based on your career goals. Or you can come talk to us again if you want to. So after that, I just want kind of to put out there some friendly reminders for students. I didn't put that on here, but ask questions. If you have questions about anything along the process, please don't feel embarrassed or afraid to ask us questions. That's why we're here. And also, one really important thing is to always refer to the student calendar. That's going to be pretty crucial moving forward. There's going to be a lot of dates that are important for deadlines, tuition, and so on and so forth. I added this link where you guys can go ahead and put that in your browser and go ahead and click through the student calendar. I also added a link for where you can go ahead and access the bookstore. We do have a new student checklist that you can view here. It's not going to take you through like the first few steps, so admissions or to apply to WVC, but after you've applied, it will kind of set out the other steps that you need to complete. And then I also would like to share just to explore some other forms of aid for students. So we have CAMP, TRIO, Veteran Services, MESA, workforce grants, and scholarships. So let's see. So this is usually the checklist that we give students when they do come in. So it's a paper copy. We don't have it online yet, but we usually, this is what we provide students, right? So it's going to walk you through the first step all the way to the last step. And I really like this because it gives you a good visual. It's a good overview for students to kind of follow. And then it also has contacts over here on the right-hand side. So that's really nice. So I'll leave that for a second. And then if you do have questions, you guys can always email us at edplanning@wvc.edu. That we are always monitoring that email address, constantly replying back to students. Or you can always give us a call, or if you want to schedule an appointment with a college navigator, that's going to be a good phone number for you guys to call. Do you guys have any questions?
I don't have a question, but I do want to add in there, prospective students can also schedule appointments with college navigators. If they do have questions and they aren't sure if Wenatchee is a fit for them, they can definitely call that phone number that Patty has on the screen, and they can make an appointment to see what their educational plan would look like if they chose to attend Wenatchee.
And that actually reminded me, thank you, Karina. It reminded me, if you took like college in the high school, it's going to be important for you as a new student to go ahead and obtain transcripts from the college that you received credit from. So even though you didn't attend like physically, I don't know, let's say UW or WSU, but you received credit through them, it's going to be important to get those transcripts sent to WVC officially. And then going ahead and filling out a official credit evaluation. Alrighty, well, that was my presentation.
Thank you, Patty. And if anyone has any other questions for Ed Planning, we can also answer them in the chat and help that too. But next up, we have Rachel Evie from the WVC Foundation.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. As Lovey said, my name is Rachel Evie. I'm the Executive Director of the Wenatchee Valley College Foundation, and I use she, her pronouns. So I wanted to give you all a quick overview about the foundation in case you're unfamiliar with us. We are a 501c3 nonprofit charitable organization, which is basically a fancy way of saying we're a nonprofit charity. And our entire reason for existing is to support the programs and students of Wenatchee Valley College. So our vision is to have an educated, inclusive, prosperous, and healthy community. And our mission is to provide equitable access to education and invest in student success through philanthropy. And that's a lot of big fluffy words, so I'm going to break it down a little bit. When we talk about equitable access to education, we know every student we have at WVC does not have the same background, does not have the same experience, does not have the same goals for why they're at WVC. So when we look at supporting them and providing them with services or funding, we want to do it through an equitable lens. Because if we did it through an equal lens, everyone would get the same thing, but not every student needs gas dollars to transport from any at, or childcare dollars so they can attend evening classes or some such thing. So that's something that we're always mindful of. And then the other part of this is everything we do is through philanthropy. It's all thanks to the generous donations from our community members, including many of our employees. Just to give a big picture, this is the funding that we're providing to WVC this academic year. So roughly $828,000 will be going to the college from the foundation. Once again, that's all thanks to generous donations. The overwhelming majority of that goes directly to students, either through scholarships, emergency support, or other supports. Our scholarship program is extremely robust. It's $480,000 in partnership with the college funds. We're actually awarding over $500,000 in scholarship dollars. And our emergency assistance is through the counseling department, actually. So if a student is attending WVC and they have some kind of emergency, we've seen apartment fires, funeral costs, their laptop was stolen, their car needed new tires, whatever that may be, that might prevent them from continuing at WVC or even considering dropping out of WVC. We want to be there as a net to make sure that they get the support they need so they can stay enrolled and complete their degree. When we're talking about scholarships, this is a graph probably a lot of you are familiar with considering your line of work. It's one that always shocks our donors and community stakeholders. Tuition and fees usually isn't what keeps students from going to college when it comes to WVC. It's those other things to make sure they can actually be in the classes or in the classroom. It's having a reliable laptop or internet connection. It's having transportation to campus. It's having stable housing so you can go to class. And if you have to quit a job or a part-time job to be able to go to class, then you're not making that money and then you can't pay for housing, and it's just a spiral. So when we're looking at scholarship awards and what we want to provide to students, we're not just looking at tuition and fees, we're looking at the whole kit and caboodle. So keep that in mind when you're talking to your students about funding opportunities, specifically the foundation scholarships. It can be used for anything that's related to them attending WVC, not just those hard costs of tuitions and fees. Just to give you an idea about our recipient demographics for our scholarship program, these look a little different than the college demographics overall. 59% of our scholarship recipients are first generation. 10% of them are dreamers or undocumented, 53% are over the age of 26, and 37% are parents or guardians. So going back to our mission statement about equitable access to education, we see the highest need with those who are considered non-traditional students or adult learners, those who have children, those who are first generation that don't have generational wealth helping them out, and then of course those who are dreamers or undocumented. One thing I will mention is a lot of you are probably familiar to our traditional scholarship where the application would be open right now for the fall. We're not doing that anymore. So if you haven't seen a notice from us about applying for applications, that's why. We have a quarterly application process now. So what that means is you have students that are uncertain about what they want to do in fall, which shocker, I know you probably have them all figured out, right? Teenagers aren't bad at decision making or anything. So we wanted to make sure that students had funding opportunities, even if they weren't sure what they were going to do 9 months from now or 6 months or 3 months. So our application opens up a month before each quarter starts and closes that first week of classes. So if you have a student that's going to Central and all of a sudden they decide, no, it's too far, or I need to help take care of my siblings or my parents or some such thing, we'll have funding available for them. They can apply to scholarships in fall. If you have a student who goes away to school, gets homesick, comes back after fall quarter, and they're going to WVC winter quarter, we'll have scholarship funding available for them. Same thing for spring quarter. So if your students are at all worried about funding and coming to WVC, let them know that they're not missing a window. That window opens every 3 months for them to get funding if their situation changes. Just a quick reminder, WVC is your community college. So you're all here. So obviously you support what we do and what we're able to offer for students in the area. But just as a plug from me, since we are a nonprofit organization, reach out to me if you're all interested in volunteering. I encourage you to follow our social media and share content. There's a lot of good material out there about our scholarship recipients, faculty members talking about why they love WVC. We've got all sorts of public events on campus. I know Karina and Levy do a lot of hard work getting campus tours scheduled. So reach out to any of us if you want to get a campus tour, your students. And then of course, I would be remiss in my job if I didn't say you can always donate to the foundation. With that, any questions? All right, thank you, everyone.
And thank you, Rachel. I really liked your presentation and all of the data. I always like looking at the data and the graphs and stuff. And next we have Erica. She's presenting on behalf of the Student Grant Center.
Hello, everyone. My name is Erica Schenk von Stauffenberg, and I am the Student Grants Center Coordinator. I'm going to share my screen here. Everyone see the website? We're good? Okay, perfect. And so what you might want to know about us is that the Student Grant Center is, in addition to scholarships or financial aid, what you're about to hear about, it's additional funding for students who are eligible for the grants that are listed here below. How to get to our page is you would go to the Apply tab through the financial aid or pay for college, sorry. And then we're under here under financial aid. We recently did change our name from Workforce Grants to Student Grant Center. So you may hear kind of both names, but we're the same department. And so what we have is we have additional funding that students may be eligible for that helps with tuition, books, and then those extras, transportation, childcare, potentially housing, emergency services. So we are able to enroll students that are eligible for the grants. Oftentimes our students are eligible for more than one of the student grants. And so each grant, I'm not gonna go deep dive because we don't have that kind of time, but under each grant tab, you can click and kind of see the eligibility requirements. If there's programs to check your eligibility, you would be able to log on. BFET's probably not the best one to do, so I'm going to back out here really quick. Opportunity Grant's probably one of our most popular grants. This grant has qualified programs. So these are the programs that a student would have to be enrolled in order to receive Opportunity Grant funding. The majority of our grants support those technical programs. And so this is probably the most restrictive grant that we have, the Opportunity Grant. But all of the information needing to kind of determine if you or the student may be eligible would be on each of these tabs. If you're not sure and you're just like, hey, I need some extra funding and I'm not sure what's available to me, either way, what we would have you do is complete the interest survey. And so this interest survey is just a link and it's going to ask you some questions, or the potential student some questions that will allow us to determine the eligibility requirements if that student meets those requirements. We have some additional forms that we do keep available here on our website for students. Each student will be required to complete an academic plan. So they do have to determine pretty quickly what program it is that they're wanting to pursue. We do have a newer grant to Wenatchee Valley College in the last year or so. It's supporting students experiencing homelessness. This grant is an awesome grant that has the capacity to help students who are experiencing homelessness, who are at risk of experiencing homelessness, and who are also were foster care youth at the time that they graduated or completed their high school equivalency. So that funding does not help with tuition or books, but it does have a lot of other funding around housing, transportation, clothing, personal hygiene, those things that any Wenatchee Valley College student, whether it's transitional studies, a technical program transfer, international students, any student at Wenatchee Valley College is eligible for support if they are meeting the requirements of that grant. Down here is our contact information. We also partner with ECE. And so we have a grant that we share kind of in common with our work retraining and our opportunity grant. So NILE is also kind of a part of what we do here. But this is our staff that we currently have right now. And we are located in what we call the new building or the new Wells Hall, but Mishi-Twy. We are on the first floor. And yeah, if there's anybody that is currently receiving unemployment benefits or currently receiving food benefits through DSHS, definitely have them contact us through the interest survey, and we can see if you might be eligible. Is there any questions per se? There's a lot of information about these grants, so we have to pick and choose what we can share. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Erica. And then lastly, we'll have Michael from Financial Aid.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Okay, perfect. I'm going to share my screen now. All righty. Are you seeing my my slide? Okay, perfect. Okay, well, my name is Michael Hicks. I'm the Assistant Director of Financial Aid. What we do here is we help find the funding through state or federal grants in order to help students be able to complete the tuition, pay out the tuition, make it affordable for them. Now, we are also located on the first floor of Wenatchee Hall. And now the whole financial aid process starts by filling out one of two different applications, whether it's the FAFSA, which is the federal application for student aid, or the WASFA, which is the state application for student aid. The FAFSA does require that you are a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident, but the WASFA is state funding that doesn't have those same requirements. So if they're not a citizen or a permanent resident, I always direct them to the WASFA to fill that out. But what that does is that determines either the FAFSA or the WASFA, that determines how much that either the state or Department of Education feel that the student or the student's family should be responsible for toward their financially toward their education. Now, Rachel had mentioned earlier in regards to the cost of attendance. Basically, what the cost of attendance does, and it's going to be different based off of your circumstances. So the cost of attendance, like she was mentioning earlier, the cost of attendance for a independent student with children is not going to be the same as a dependent student living at home with their parents. So there's different criteria, but the cost of attendance is going to be broken up depending on what their circumstances are. And then what the WASFA or the FAFSA is going to come up with a estimated contribution, which is going to say, well, this is how much you should be contributing to your education. And what we do is we take that the contribution, we subtract it from the cost of attendance, and what that ends up giving us is is need. And based on the person's need, that's going to let us know how much they'll be able to qualify for, and whether it's financial aid through the federal government, through the state government. We have different things I'll cover here in a second that all go toward need. But these are the things that will actually that go into deciding what the cost of attendance is, whether it's transportation costs or room and board, the books, supplies, things like that. That all goes in towards the cost of attendance. Now, and like I was mentioning, the FAFSA or the WASPA will determine what the estimated family contribution is, the EFC. So whether it's student contribution or parent contribution, both. If they're a dependent student, it would consider both and put that toward the cost of attendance. And there's usually going to be something left over, and whatever the remaining balance is going to be the need. Now, the different types of financial aid that are available in order to fill the remaining need are, first of all, the grants. So you have a Pell Grant through the Department of Education. That's through the FAFSA. The state also has grants as well. So we'll look for those first. Of course, we've talked about scholarships that are available out there. We do have a work-study program also, something I'm really trying to push right now because we have plenty of positions that are available for students to work on campus or off campus in order to help fill that tuition need. And then, of course, we have both subsidized and unsubsidized student loans that are available. Now, 75% of the students, if you're excluding Running Start, they receive some kind of aid each year, whether it's scholarships or funding or grants that were mentioned earlier, or financial aid, whether it's grants or loans. 75% of our students are receiving some kind of aid. Wenatchee Valley College, we give out 12 to 15 million in financial aid funding each year. Now, the FAFSA or the WASPA, they both have to be done annually. And they are available on October 1st of each year. We always recommend that people do it as soon as possible because it does take anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks to complete the processing. We want to make sure that we were able to get through as many as we can before school starts. You don't want to start school and then be worrying about how you're going to get your financial aid covered at that point. We want to get it done as soon as possible. And we are doing our best right now to try to get, to expedite them so that they're completed and you have your award letter long before the quarter actually starts. The funding eligibility is based on prior year income. And what that means is that, so right now, the 2023, 2024 FAFSA and WASPA applications are available. Those, when you're filling those out, those use the 2021 taxes. So you'll need both the student's taxes as well as the parent's taxes. For anybody under the age of 24, and there are different criteria also. I usually have like a longer presentation, but I was trying to cut this down into just 10 minutes. So now we understand that your circumstances from 2 years ago might not be what they are now. So there are revision request forms that are available. Initially, you still have to complete the FAFSA as requested. And then afterwards, you can submit a revision request form that allows me to go through and make those changes based on your current circumstances. If you're not making as much money as you did a couple of years ago, that would drastically affect what your estimated family contribution would be. And you would definitely want to do the revision request in order to qualify for more. We want to find as much available for you to make it as easy as possible. Now, sometimes the FAFSA and the WASPA, they have an auditing process called verification, where they randomly will select students to verify the information that they have provided on their FAFSA. Now it says up to 80% of FAFSA students are selected for verification. The reason for that is not necessarily that it's the auditing process that's causing that they select 80% of the students in order to audit them. The reason why it's up to 80% of FAFSA students is because a lot of people incorrectly fill out their information. And when you incorrectly fill out the information on a FAFSA, then it's more likely to get selected for verification. If we notice something that doesn't seem right, we are required to select it for verification from here as well. So whenever you have an opportunity to let the students go to a FAFSA night, a WASPA night, where you have assistance from us here, Cafe is helping out with those as well. So any opportunity to have it done through the help from one of the FAFSA or WASPA nights is always the best choice. That way we can be specific on what information is put in there and make sure that those mistakes don't occur. So like right now, we are working on setting up some FAFSA and WASPA nights. There are 2 different applications that are currently available on the FAFSA website. There is the application for the 22-23 school year that we're currently in. And then there's also the 23-24 FAFSA. The 22-23 is going to require 2020 taxes. The 23-24 is going to require the 2021 taxes. Each student and each parent needs to sign the FAFSA, and so they would have to set up an FSA ID, in which we help with during FAFSA and WASPA nights as well. Parents that did not file or students that did not file but did earn an income would be required to bring their W-2s with them also. Now, these are the different resources that are available in helping with the financial aid process. There's the WVC financial aid page. There's the link there to FAFSA as well as the WASPA. And then a couple additional links if there's any additional questions that you may have in regards to filling out the FAFSA or WASPA. Usually once the FAFSA or WASPA are completed, it takes us just a couple of days to actually receive it in our system here. The 23-24 ones are being received. We do have them, but we're not working on them until we do a rollover here for the next school year, and that would be here next month. But we are going to try to be a first time to where we're going to hopefully start awarding as soon as March this year for next year. So that's what we're shooting for. It's not a guarantee, but we do want to try to make it a little bit quicker than it has been in previous years. I think with the staff that we have and our familiarity with the new system that we have, how we're getting used to it, I think it's actually doable. But again, the sooner the students can get that FAFSA or WASPA in, the sooner we can start helping them and get them awarded. And that's pretty much it. Any questions? All righty.
Thank you, Michael. I really
you.
liked your presentation. One note that Rachel did put in our chat is that a reminder, the scholarship applications are available in English and in Spanish. So if you do have any students whose first language is Spanish, there are applications available for them. I'd just like to thank all of the presenters who took time out of their day to present for those who attended. I will be saving this recording and emailing it out, as well as trying to get those links that were provided and the PowerPoints sent to you guys. I'm not sure if I'll get that done today, but I'll definitely get it out by tomorrow. Again, if you guys have any questions, you have my email and you have Levy's email, hopefully. You can reach out to either of us and we can try and connect you with the people in case we don't know the answer. And that, yes, thank you everyone. And that'll be all for today.
Thanks.